Hi, this is Carrie at wooingnature.life with the full moon view for Earth signs Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. The new moon, or the dark moon as it's sometimes called, is a time for self-reflection. It's a time when we tend to go within while the sky is dark, just to renew ourselves and our commitments, or just to be still and know that whatever it is that we're seeking answers to from the universe will be revealed to us in time. So why do we do this? We do this because synchronizing with nature's clocks teaches you the right timing, and how it teaches you how to be in synchronicity with the right timing so that you can begin to operate in the rhythm of nature and not just your clock or your Apple Watch or, a bell that gets you to your next classroom or whatever. The moon cycle is just another kind of clock, and it's a great way to start reconnecting with the natural order of things so that your life and your lifestyle can start to move in a much easier balance, or a much more relaxed balance. It actually gets you relaxed, and it also kind of takes the stress off of you too, because each time the moon phases, it gives other kinds of things for you to think about, and sometimes these are things that we don't think about readily. And anyway, that's just the way that it works. So today's reading is going to be taken from the Moon Oracle. So I'll be reading from the Moon Oracle for an overall view of the moon. I'm also going to be reading from the Dreaming Way Lenormand for your element, and then I will follow up or finish up with a word for each sign from the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck. But before I get into the reading, I am going to chat a little bit about the astrology for the new moon and any planets of significance that are going to be walking with her during this time. So the moon, this month's new moon is in the sign of Capricorn. It is in the 4th degree. It's an aspect to the sun, which is also in 4 degrees of Capricorn, and both are rolling along with Mercury in the 25th degree of Sagittarius. So the moon in Capricorn suggests that this is a more serious-minded moon. You may feel the need to get your house in order, which makes sense because, this is the last new moon before the new year comes in. So a lot of us are making resolutions, and we're also doing our affirmations. We're setting intentions for the coming year, and so it makes sense to spend time kind of reflecting on your goals, and so that you can get down to business, which is what Capricorn leads us to do. In the 4th degree, there's a sense that this process is a significant part of moving forward in your life. Sometimes when things are dormant or quiet, we have a tendency to think we're not moving. But being still and having a time of self-reflection is really an important part of being able to get off the hump, or if you are in a slump, or if you're at a standstill, you might as well go ahead and just stand still, and in that way it makes room in your life for new things to come in. So if you're flowing with the moon during this time, the thing is to continue to move forward, to still continue to be focused on your goals and your aspirations and what it is that you have a vision for yourself. But it is a quiet time. It is a time to just kind of look at what's going on around you, and then to let the information that comes from that then fuel the movement moving forward. So the moon's relationship with the sun at this time, which usually counterbalances our feelings and emotions, especially during a significant moon phase, is really as the moon's willing partner. They are in conjunct, meaning that they are moving together and moving in alignment. So your actions during this time will be in alignment with this sort of inner urge to see something through that you started before. And so that's what the sun and the moon are doing together. So really the balance is to keep you focused. The balance between your masculine and your feminine is to keep you directed and focused toward that goal that you're trying to reach, or that you whatever vision it is that you have put forward, either at the last new moon or just in general. So the other planet to watch during the new moon is Mercury, which is in conjunct with the moon in Sagittarius in the 25th degree at that time. So with Mercury in motion, we can look or expect to be a little bit more outspoken about your plans, or the fact that you don't plan for anybody to get in your way while you're trying to accomplish it. It's a way of letting people know your intentions and how serious you are about meeting them. And so you may feel a little bit more outspoken. You may feel like, declaring to the world, look, I'm not going to do this anymore, or I don't want to be bothered with these people anymore, or I am focusing on myself in 2020. Those are the things that you can kind of expect to happen. Okay. So that'll give you an idea of what's moving with the new moon this month astrologically, so that you can apply that information to your focus, or just pay attention to how these vibrations are circulating around you and in your atmosphere. So we're going to go right into the new moon reading, which takes astrology and builds on it intuitively, so that the earth signs Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn will know how this is affecting them, and also affecting their elemental partners in the zodiac. Okay, so as I said, I am reading from the Moon Oracle, just the general reading about the moon, just to get an intuitive look at that. We are in a black moon. We are in the earth moon, which is a dormant moon, which means that it is a time of reflection. And the key word here is economy. Now, what's interesting about this is, what is economizing? What do we mean when we're talking about being economical? It depends on where there's excess. So wherever there are excesses in your life, during this new moon is a time to take the excess off, to really get to some bare bones, and to economize your thoughts or your actions, or to pare down a plan. So if you are in the middle of a project or something at work, it's to economize allows you to really get to the bare bones and really look at what is necessary for you to reach your goal, or for you to get to the next step, or for you to move from the crossroads. So this time of self-reflection is also a time to assess the situation that you're in and seeing where there is an excess. Now, this can follow any line in your life. Again, we talk about when we first think about excess, we might think about how we're overspending. So if it's about finances, then you may look at where you may be overspending, and you say, well, I'm going to cut back on that and then save my money for another time. That's economizing. The other way I think about economizing is like if you have an excess of thoughts. For those of you who may have anxiety, or who may be stressed out in a certain way, you have a lot of things on your mind. That means that you may have an excess of thoughts, and you need to economize your thoughts. How do you economize your thoughts? Well, you start chipping away at the thoughts that are negative first. So if you are having ruminating thoughts, or if you have a lot of things going through your mind and they are of a negative nature, then you want to definitely economize those. If there's a lot of things on your mind, meaning things that have to be done, tasks that have to be accomplished, and then that's causing the anxiety, then you also have to look at what is the most important thing at this time. Do I need to be focused on all of these things at once, or where are my priorities? So it's like prioritizing your task, or prioritizing your thoughts. And then certainly if you are dealing with other excesses like addictions of any kind, food addictions, drug addictions, alcohol addictions, this is a great time to make some new set some new boundaries for yourself then. So this moon is asking you to kind of look at that. The next card that comes up, and this is related to the degree status of the moon at this time, is the wedding card. And this wedding card talks more or less about things that are done in a traditional fashion, things that we do that kind of tie us to tradition, that tie us to some tried and true methods of getting our goals accomplished or getting the job done. So you want to look at that. And then also, by it being weddings, you want to look at some of your commitments, how you're committing and what that commitment is. And then when we think about that in terms of economizing, not over committing, or really establishing what you are committed to or what you're going to commit to in the coming year. But again, it talks about being doing things in a traditional fashion, with the sign of the moon being in the sign of Capricorn. Certainly deals with things that are more traditional or more conservative. So you are conserving. Both of these cards to me say that the new moon is a time to look at how you are going to conserve as opposed to spend, or as opposed to be in a state of excess or putting yourself in a situation where there is excess, where there's over excess. All right, and then the last card is a goddess card. Hecate was the one that related to the new moon in Capricorn. And what's interesting about Hecate to me is that she looks three ways. It says that she looks three ways. She looks in the past, she looks to the future, and then of course she stays in the present moment. So staying present is a significant message here, as well as looking at the past, but not looking at the past as a dwelling place, but looking at the past as what you have learned and how you have learned, what you have learned through excess, what you have learned, and how you can economize your process moving forward. A lot of times when we are embarking on new things, we learn by our mistakes. I mean, not all the time. We all the time learn from our mistakes. And from those mistakes, we figure out, okay, I did too much of this, or not enough of this, or this would have gone much better if I had just done this first. Those are the things that you want to journal about and write down, because those become your best practices. The mistakes that you've made in the past help you to streamline processes in the future, or they also may help you understand how to do something more efficiently, if it's about that. The other thing that fascinates me about this card, or that shows up for me in this card, is the fact that this kind of reminds me of, in the tarot, the Tower card. Oh, not the Tower card, I'm sorry, the Chariot card, because it has these two animals here. Usually it's two horses in the tarot moving the chariot forward. Here, Hecate's dress reminds me of a chariot. So movement is important. Hecate is also associated with the crossroads. So if you feel like you're at a crossroads, if you feel like you can't move forward in some kind of way, then again, these messages that are coming through about doing some tried and true methods, getting to some bottom lines for yourself, will help you to get unstuck, or to help you to move forward off the platform where you are and be able to move forward. Of course, there's always the message of staying in the present moment with Hecate. In the Moon Oracle book here, when I was reading about this goddess, one of the things that jumped out, and I'll definitely share that with you, was a ritual that I think would be good for all of us at this time, or for those of you who do your new moon rituals. I think this would be a really good thing to think about. It says that the past must be reviewed, relived, and put away for good, with a symbolic washing away of its influences. So that as you are looking into the past and looking at what went well and what didn't go well, I think it would be a good practice during the new moon, for those of you who do new moon baths, to do a new moon ritual around a bath where you are dealing with the past. And this is particularly for those of you who feel like you may be being held up or bogged down, or kept on the other side of the fence by the past influences that are still affecting you or still holding you up. So if you feel like that's happening in your life, if you feel like you're energetically being held up or held hostage by a past relationship, or a deal gone wrong, or some other way that you may have been negatively affected from an experience from the past, then just do a ritual bath, and I'll try to put some things together and put them in the description box if those of you who are not familiar with doing ritual baths. Put together some herbs, some flowers. It might be a combination of things, and then that combination of things can be put into the bath. And then as you're doing the bath, you'll just say a mantra, or you'll say an affirmation that says, any influences from the past that have influenced me negatively, that are preventing me from moving forward, I'll wash them away at this time. Something to that effect. All right, so that's the general moon and what's happening generally with that. And so I'll jump right in with the Lenormand, with the Dreaming Way Lenormand. I pulled 2 cards from that deck just to get a sense of what your element, what the earth signs should be focused on in general. That means all earth signs at this time. So what we got, the first card up was Whips. Whips deals with routines or things that have become a routine. And then the moon, which to me more or less deals with the subconscious. So earth signs, what you want to be focused on during the new moon is some of the routines, it could be a mental routine, it could be a physical routine, it could be a rut that you may have gotten yourself into that points to something that's happening in your subconscious. It's a subconscious leaning that that keeps this thing in repetition. Now, the thing to think about is that if you have a routine for yourself that puts you kind of in this space where you are exercising a method, or you're exercising a practice that has worked for you or worked for your family in the past, doing it could be a ritual, or it could just be a daily practice that you do. But this is about those routines. It's about repetition, or the things that we have put in our life that have become like rote, that then affect our lives, and that this information is coming from the subconscious. So earth signs, what I would say is for you to pay attention to your subconscious leanings during the new moon, things that you find yourself thinking, saying, or doing in a repetitive fashion. If those things are negative, then you want to remove those, or start to redirect your speech, or redirect your thoughts in a more positive fashion. But at the same time, if this is something that you do subconsciously that is working for you, just to make a note of it and add it to your practice. Or if you haven't been doing it on a regular basis and you feel like you need to do something on a regular basis to boost your mental or your emotional side, then make those a part of your daily routine. So that's that for the earth signs. And then we'll move right into the wisdom of the oracle, or the mystical shaman oracle rather, for the Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn people out there. So for Taurus, I have stand still. So this is really significant because, again, this is a dormant moon. It's a time to pare down, and it's a time to pull back a little bit. And this is saying to be still, Taurus. It's meditation would be highly recommended during the new moon. And it suggests here with this doorway that meditation is what's going to allow you to push through. Being still is what's going to allow you to push through, rather than pushing through with will or with action. So step up your meditation game during the new moon. You can do a new moon meditation. I would recommend that. And then while you're doing that, you can be focusing on your goals. You can be focusing on your objectives. You can maybe get some strategies out of that may come from that meditation. But the main thing, Taurus, is to be still and to just self-reflect during the new moon. All right, and then for the Virgo folks out there, we got the Andean cross. Now, the Andean cross is of course related to the indigenous people of the Andean mountains. So this symbol is associated with that. But this symbol also shows up in a lot of different places. So I do want to talk about it a bit with you. One is it's like a mandala. Now, most of us think about mandalas as being round, but here this circular, the idea of the circle is represented here. And it's also represented here by the 4 directions. So you have north, south, you have east and west. And there's a sense of there being a medicine wheel here. It's about healing. Medicine wheels are about healing, but healing on a lot of different levels, not just on a physical level, but mental, emotional, and spiritual level. Also, this symbol in terms of a mandala represents gateways, the gateways to the inner self, and then also the gateways to the creator. And that happens through this this opening, or this hollow bone, as we like to think about it. This could also reflect back to you a channel, the channel through which you receive your messages from the spirit to yourself. And then how those things are also being used practically in your world. So for those of you who are familiar with this symbol, either as the medicine wheel, for other people, this symbol in the middle also represents the Potomitan, or the way that we receive messages from spirit. So I will say for you all Virgos, again, also meditation along with your Taurus partners. Meditation would be a really good thing for you to do during the full moon, but that meditation should be more or less focused on your inner self, and also getting connected to the spirit that exists outside. So just getting reconnected to the spirit, and then allowing the spirit to speak through you. And I think meditation is a really great way to make that happen. Prayer and meditation, of course, are always recommended for moving nature. And then if you do the Tonka thing, or if you like to meditate with mandalas, I would recommend you do that during your new moon. And then for Capricorns, we have the spiral. These are all very similar to me. This is all for Taurus, it's like going in. For Virgo, it's going in again. And then for Capricorn, we have the spiral, which also suggests going in. But just really for Capricorns, it's about going back and really reflecting on that past, like we said with the Hecate card, looking back into your immediate past, not so much into your ancestor. You can go back that far if you want to, but this is really about looking at what accomplishments that you have made so far, and the journey that you have taken so far in your life, and really getting a good sense of the ups and downs, the ins and outs, what you've learned, what your takeaways are, what the most significant parts of your journey have been, and letting that be your flag, letting that be your code of honor, letting that be your mantra moving forward. Your mantra is really, Capricorns, about what you have, what you've done. Your mantra is really your journey, and putting that out as the future, because your past is building your future. And so I feel like this, whatever you do here in terms of self-reflection, again, that can come through meditation, like the rest of your elemental partners. That could come through meditation and prayer. It could also come through journaling. So journaling would be a good way to do this too. And just pull out some nuggets from your experience and say, this is the road on which I'm traveling into my future. So the spiral is about really looking back and reflecting back on what's been happening with you personally, and using that as a time of self-reflection. Okay, so that is the new moon view for December 26, 2019 for my earth signs. If you want to stay in sync, just continue to tune into this channel during the new and the full moon phases. And if you want to take a deeper dive and find out how the moon is affecting you on a very personal level, you can reach out to me at Carrie@wooingnature.life, or you can connect to me through the website or the links below that I'll place in the description box. As always, I hope you have a great new moon, and I hope you have a wonderful life.